The past January 30th, 2025, America suffered the terrible tragedy of the fatal collision of a Bombardier CRJ-701ER of the American Airlines Regional Branch American Eagle against a United States Army helicopter in Washington, D.C. The collision put an end to the U.S. commercial aviation's 16-year streak of no fatal crashes, with the last one being the 2009 crash of Colvin Air Flight 3407 in New York. The American Airlines Flight 5342 was carrying 60 passengers flying from Wichita, Kansas to the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Around the same time, a military Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter was conducting flight training while camouflaged by the darkness of the night, cutting through the airspace of the plane from the opposite direction. Apparently, neither aircraft was aware of each other's presence, and around 9 p.m., they slammed into one another just 400 feet above the ground before it turned into a huge violent explosion, and they plunged into the freezing Potomac River under them, an unfortunate event when the commercial plane was mere minutes away from landing in its destination at runway 33. Following the crash, all takeoffs and landings were halted at DCA, prompting many to divert to nearby airports. At the same time, more than 300 first responders and rescue workers rushed to the Potomac in a desperate search for survivors. Both aircraft ended completely destroyed, sinking to the bottom of the river, and sadly, 30 minutes after midnight, it was reported by local police that no one had survived the collision, leaving a number of 67 casualties, 60 passengers and 4 crew members aboard the Bombardier, and 3 soldiers from the Black Hawk, turning this from a rescue to a recovery operation with around 30 bodies found so far. This eerie radar footage shows the moment both aircraft crossed paths, with the helicopter's path remaining relatively straight and the commercial flight veering towards the runway to make its landing.
My bathroom now for individual.
American 472, Washington Star, 1 star, 32017.
Alright, this is Win. Did you see that?
American 472. American 3130, go around, turn left in 250, climb maintain 3000.
The video taken by an ex-user at the same Reagan airport 6 days before the crash shows Black Hawk helicopters flying near the aircraft, leaving people to wonder if that's what caused the collision. As the events unfold, more details have been uncovered. Aboard the plane, there were 14 people of the U.S. figure skating community returning home from a figure skating championship held with the National Development Camp in Wichita, Kansas. Some of the bodies found include the famous 16-year-old ice skating athlete Spencer Lane and his mother Christy Lane, a Russian couple, 53-year-old Evgenia Shishkova and 56-year-old Vadim Naumov, alongside Jinna Han and her mother Jin. At a press conference on Thursday, D.C. Fire Chief John Donnelly said, "We will work to find all the bodies and reunite them with their loved ones." And the U.S. figure skating also released a statement that said the following: "We are devastated by this unspeakable tragedy and hold the victims' families closely in our hearts. We will continue to monitor the situation and will release more information as it becomes available." It was also revealed that the pilots of the doomed Flight 5342 were 34-year-old Captain Jonathan Campos and First Officer Samuel Lilly, who was only 29 years old and months away from being promoted to captain, as his father, Timothy Lilly, a former Army Black Hawk pilot, revealed in an interview. President Donald Trump reported he was fully briefed on the terrible accident, saying, "May God bless their souls," referring to the passengers and also stating that this crash should have been prevented, while American Airlines CEO Robert Isom expressed his deep sorrow for the crash and that he didn't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation of the collision, with the Federal Aviation Administration, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the U.S. Army have all announced their respective investigations of the crash, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation assisting in the response, even though no signs of terrorism or criminal activity have been found. This was all for today. Don't forget to follow Big Aviation for more.